What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Free State Podcast. This is episode 8. I'm your host, Brian Konkoski, and let's get right into it. So tonight I'm doing a little bit different. I'm not going to kind of be as factual tonight. Kind of playing with things, changing it up, right? In the early stages of the podcast, it's what we're doing. We're playing around, and we're trying to have fun and change things up. So first things first. I guess the same format, kind of local news. This is about me. I have my coalition group. We are having a Zoom meeting tomorrow or Thursday. Kind of go over things before the county council meeting on Monday, and then we'll see how it goes. So, hopefully it goes good for everybody involved. Everybody kind of has fun and learns the process some and gets a little more comfortable up there. And we're just going to keep doing it until we can get a council person to sponsor our bill. So after the emails and our speeches and testimonies and stuff, then it's time to start proposing a bill and writing it up. Let me fix this real quick. So a big thing that I want to talk about tonight is a rally that the Mises Caucus of Maryland is putting together. There we go. So we are putting together a Duncan Lemp rally on March 12th. That is a Sunday. And it's going to be at, I think we're thinking 11 o'clock for now. Could change, but that's what we're leaning towards right now. And we're going to do it in front of the Montgomery County Police Department headquarters. Now, where the headquarters are, long story short, we're going to be kind of catty-cornered from the police headquarters, but essentially in front. It's the best place to get a group of people together and sign, wave, and talk to people that are passing by. Hopefully it's nice weather. So there's people out and about walking around down in Rockville. So it's going to be down in Rockville, Montgomery County. So yeah, we're me and the Mises guys in the state, we're getting that together, and hopefully you can come on down. Really, it is a Duncan Lemp protest or demonstration because the family still hasn't seen justice. And there's been acknowledgement that things were weird about the case. We'll get into that in a second. But we have 4 messages that we want to pass on during this demonstration. The first one is to end qualified immunity. That is a big one. Cops can kind of get away with whatever they see fit most of the time. They don't have to answer to the law like the rest of us does. And qualified immunity, if we were to end that, that would put them on the same legal playing field as the rest of us. Maybe we wouldn't have a Duncan Lemp kind of situation if qualified immunity was non-existent in our police force in the state of Maryland or in any of our counties. The second thing is we want the House Bill 38 to pass. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but essentially that is Maryland's no-knock raid or no-knock warrant bill. That's in legislation. It's still in committee, but we'll get to that. And then end the war on drugs. This is kind of more so referring to Breonna Taylor, who got murdered the day after. No justice has been brought to her case either, and it's Duncan Lemp and Breonna Taylor a day after each other, and a similar kind of thing happened. It was a no-knock raid, innocent people got killed, and no justice was brought onto the murderers. And then our fourth demand, our fourth message that we're going to be talking about a lot is reinstating gun rights to former felons. Now, this isn't exactly pertaining to Duncan Lemp because he wasn't considered a felon, because when he got charged for whatever he got charged, we don't know, because juvenile files are closed and not available to the public. He was supposed to not possess any firearms. That in and of itself has been argued that it's unconstitutional because a juvenile's record is not the same as an adult record, so he should have had his gun rights reinstated after the fact or when he turned 18 to be able to buy rifles and long guns and shotguns. So that's where that comes from because honestly, what I just said, it's a bit wordy trying to get juvenile records to where it should be that once you're not a juvenile anymore, your record is essentially clean. You should be given back your gun rights. So we're going with former felons because if you're a felon and you did your time, then you're supposed to have paid your dues to society, and you should get all your rights back. You should get your right to vote back. You should get your right, to certain jobs. You should, clear your background check, and you should have access your rights back to your weapons, your firearms. So that's our fourth demand that we're going for, and it's the demonstration is about Duncan Lemp. It's just that Duncan Lemp's case, because it's still not closed. Duncan Lemp's case has all four of those things essentially enveloped within to what happened to him. So if you're unfamiliar with Duncan Lemp, on March 12th, 2020, he was fatally shot in his home in Potomac, Maryland, during a no-knock search by the Montgomery County Police Department SWAT team. The police believe Lemp possessed firearms illegally, which were recovered at the scene. These, the no-knock warrant was given off of red flag laws. A neighbor had seen him through his window, that was never confirmed, saw him through his window holding a rifle, and she called the police, gave an anonymous tip, and said that he had a weapon, and the neighbor knew he wasn't supposed to have weapons. So they did a no-knock raid in the middle of the night while he was laying in bed with his sleeping girlfriend, and allegedly he had a shotgun booby trap to the door to his bedroom so that when he would open the door, a shotgun round would go off. And he also allegedly reached for a rifle that was next to his bed when the police busted in his ground floor window. Now, the history of this, or the paper trail of this, is not good to say the least. All but 12 seconds were either recorded or released to the public of the entire raid. And of those 12 seconds, it's an officer who is the one busting in his window, Duncan Lemp's window, sees Duncan Lemp laying on the bed, and then it shuts off. That's it. You don't see the shooting. You don't see the booby trap door to his bedroom and the shotgun going off or any proof of that. You don't even see the killing of Duncan Lemp next to his sleeping pregnant girlfriend. You just see the officer busting through the window and then pointing his rifle through the window, and then there's Duncan Lemp and his girlfriend in the bed, and the video shuts off. So initially when the police report was written, it had said all of these things, that he reached for the gun door was booby trapped. There's a few other things that were like, oh yeah, this guy is a crazy person. And ultimately what it was a lie, because a few days later they came out and rescinded their original police statement, made corrections to it, and said, we didn't have our body cams on. We didn't see any firearms, him reaching for any firearms. The door wasn't booby trapped. And then the Montgomery County Police just buried the report. It saw the light of day for a half second, and they got it pulled from everything. So there's already one instance of the police statement being falsified, which normally would be the grounds if the man wasn't murdered for it to get thrown out in court. So what we have here is we have a case of a man that was murdered from red flag laws off of evidence that could not have been documented and corroborating with the alleged offense. And we have a parentless child. We have two childless parents. And that's what we get with this case. And a few mainstream stories picked it up. And it wasn't initially that they picked this up, but this is an article from TOP News. It's about 11 months ago. It's a very short article, but it does raise really good questions. It was just over 2 years ago on March 12th, 2020, that a Montgomery County SWAT team executed a no-knock warrant at the Potomac home where Duncan Lemp was sleeping with his pregnant girlfriend. In the following moments, they shot and killed Lemp. Not long after the shooting, Maryland prosecutors ruled out criminal charges against the officer who fired the shots that killed Lemp. But the family's attorney said that decision and the decision to raid the home in the first place were made on false information. This is Renee Sadler, attorney representing the Lemp family. There's a multitude of issues in the Lemp case which need to be scrutinized by legislators and others if they care to. They need to. First, she said, more attention needs to be paid to making sure anonymous tips are valid before acting. The verification process needs to be scrutinized for anonymous tip to come in, and without further corroboration or verification, should not be relied upon as fact. There's motives, there's other issues associated with such information. Secondly, she said, police relied on incorrect information in part to obtain the no-knock warrant. Officers under oath said that Duncan was not permitted to have a certain weapon because of a certain offense. One of the pieces of information they relied upon was just simply false, so there needs to be a better check and balance. And this brings up the body cam footage that I was talking about earlier. And to this day, no public officials will talk to Duncan Lemp's parents or the attorney about what happened. And this was written a year ago. So now we're going on 3 years ago that this happened. And this family still has no anything. 2 years ago, the year after the murder, a few of us went to Montgomery County and stood in the exact same place that we're going to stand on March 12th. And we actually got like a lot of good reactions. And I actually was reached out to by Duncan Lemp's mother. This was, 10 Facebook profiles ago, unfortunately. And she appreciated what we did. She saw some of our pictures online, and she really appreciated it. And that was 2 years ago. And I'm sure she still feels the same exact way, that her family wants justice for the murder of her son. So in the future, here soon, I'm going to be reaching out to her, and I'm going to try to find her and reach out to her, let her know that we're doing this. I'm definitely going to invite her out, because if this was my child, I would want justice. I wouldn't at least answers, but justice would be preferred. So let's get back to House Bill 38. This was introduced in the beginning of the session by Delegate Severo. I feel like I've talked about him before. He's in Montgomery County. It seems like all these big bills are being introduced by Montgomery County delegates. So this bill is essentially doing just that, ending no-knock warrants. Let me show you guys this bill so you can read the words for yourself and look at it. An act concerning for the purpose of repealing the authority for the issuance and execution of a no-knock search warrant, establishing procedures for the issuance and execution of a search warrant, and generally relating to search warrants. Subsection A1, no-knock search warrant means a search warrant that authorizes the executing law enforcement officer to enter a building, apartment, premises, place, or thing to be searched without giving notice of the officer's authority or purpose. 2, a circuit court judge or district court judge may issue forthwith a search warrant whenever it is made to appear to the judge by application as described in the paragraph. Paragraph 3 of the subsection, that there is probable cause to believe that 1, a misdemeanor or felony is being committed by a person or in a building, apartment, premises, place, or thing within the territorial jurisdiction of the judge, or property subject to seizure under the criminal laws of the state is on the person or on the building, apartment, premises, place, or thing. And it goes over what the application for the search warrant would need to be. More about that. So it does lay out a good descriptive necessity for the application to get a search warrant. And this is a no-knock search warrant, which brings us to Section 5, that the search warrant may be executed only between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. So not when people are fast asleep in their beds. The executing law enforcement officer shall give a copy of the search warrant, the application, and the affidavit to an authorized occupant of the premises searched, or leave a copy of the search warrant, the application, and the affidavit at the premises searched. So really what this is doing is it's ending the no-knock in the sense that when you're asleep in the middle of the night between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 a.m., you cannot get a warrant served at your apartment, house, wherever you are. Now, this isn't completely ending no-knock warrants because they could still go in, say you're at work, they could still go in your home, do the search, and just leave the documentation for you to find when you get home and your house is destroyed, you have things missing, and you don't know if you're in trouble or not. But it's a good start, and we have to have starts. We have to start somewhere. We'll never get to exactly where you want to be if we don't start somewhere. So this is a good start. However, I have a little bit of bad news about the bill. And this is what kind of stinks. Because it's been in committee since last week. It was heard on the 24th. And it's still not anywhere, unfortunately. Which makes me nervous because if it was a good bill as they intended it to be, then it should be out of committee by now. But what I have learned is that while things are in committee, that's when the votes really happen. The votes really happen in committee, and if they come out of committee, actually, that was January. Sorry. January 24th was when the hearing was, the initial hearing. And it's still in committee. So that means that they might just let it die in committee. Sorry for my mix-up of the dates. February flew by. So what you can do in this instance, since it's been in committee for over a month now, find your representative, hopefully you have one, your delegate that's in the committee. Find it right here. I'll read you off your members just in case you know yours off the top of your head. so that you can email these people, look them up, email these people, because this bill needs to come out of committee. It's not great, but it's a great start. It's a good building block. So the chair of the Judiciary Committee is Luke Klippinger, District 41, Baltimore City. Vice Chair is David Moon, District 20, Montgomery County. Lauren Aricam, District 7B, Harford County. Sandy J. Bartlett, District 32, Anne Arundel County. Eric Christopher Bouchat, Frederick and Carroll Counties, District 5. John S. Carden, District 11B, Baltimore County. Frank Conaway, District 40, Baltimore City. Charlotte Crutchfield, Montgomery County, District 19. Elizabeth Embry, District 43A, Baltimore City. Robin Grammer, District 6, Baltimore County. Aaron Kaufman, District 18, Montgomery County. Rachel Munoz, District 31, Anne Arundel County. Cheryl Pastor, District 11A, Baltimore County. Scott Phillips, District 10, Baltimore County. Michael Schmidt, District 33B, Anne Arundel County. Gary Simmons, District 12B, Anne Arundel County. Karen Simpson, District 3, Frederick County. Kim Taylor, District 23, PG County. Chris Tomlinson, District 5, Frederick and Carroll Counties. Karen Tolles, District 25, PG County. William Valentine, Washington and Frederick Counties, District 2A. Nicole Williams, District 22, PG County. And Kaylin Young, District 45, Baltimore City. So if those are any of your delegates, then definitely email them or give their office a call. Tell them you would like to see House Bill 38 to be voted for favorably, and so it can come out of committee, and the chances of that bill getting passed are much, much higher. This is what's funny about the Maryland legislature, is that this is a Democrat-led bill. It's a Democrat, what you would think kind of a Democrat, more Democrat bill, because this is the kind of thing that does impact minority groups much more higher than whites. So you would think that the majority of our legislature being, and our governor being Democrat, this bill would just fly through. But this is the duopoly right here. The Democrats have had a veto-proof majority for over 50 years in Maryland, and yet we still can't get no-knock raid bills passed in the legislature because they don't actually care. They don't care if people are getting murdered. They don't care if people are, getting things taken. Part of qualified immunity is that, you could be having your house had a warrant being served, and they could steal things from you, and it's their word against yours. And 9.9 times out of 10, they're going to take their word over yours. So you would think that the House and then the Senate and our governor would just fly this bill through because it makes the most sense. But that's not the case, because the Democrats really don't care about what happens to you. They don't care what's happening to their constituents. They just want to get in office, and they just don't do anything that's actually based. So with that being said, I don't have anything else. I just wanted to rant about Duncan Lemp's murder and this bill, and hopefully persuade you to write your legislators if you can, if you're in any of them, and tell them let's get this bill through. This is a good start, right? This is one step closer to, any positive that can come out of the murder of Duncan Lemp. Hopefully we can reach out to some other groups. Tim, good call. Hopefully we can reach out to some other groups that are more pro 2A, kind of bring the police reform group together, bring the gun rights advocates together, and kind of build a coalition under this unfortunate circumstance. But there has to be some positive out of his death. So maybe this is a good way to do it. If you haven't realized by now, single issue coalitions are they're my thing. They're my jam. That's what I focus on the most, more than anything else, in the politics realm of life. Because there's so many issues that we agree with other groups on that we disagree on 99% of the other crap. But for this one issue we agree on, we can bring our forces together, we can get things done. And the rally 2 weekends ago was the epitome of that. You've heard me talk about it. The socialist, communist, everything, every different political spectrum working together for one cause. You didn't hear the communists down there talking about seizing the means of production, and you really didn't hear us libertarians talking about, economics for the most part, except when Ron Paul was on the stage and we were all yelling at the Fed. Yes, Tim, make LPMD great again. That's the plan. I almost forgot. The rally I went to over this weekend, I didn't write it down, so I forgot. I usually take way better notes, but I just didn't feel like writing notes tonight. So me and 3 other libertarians went down to the pro-Ukraine rally on Saturday. You may have seen a couple of videos out. I know Tim Pool had a guy down there, and maybe some others on Twitter. So we went there. It was freezing cold. It was snowing a little bit. It was windy. The reflection pond was drained, so it smelled like a swamp. And we got to the Lincoln Memorial, and there was this relatively, for a rally, it was a small group of people standing around like this little PA system, and everybody was holding Ukrainian flags. Actually took a picture. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen real quick. So we get there, and I took my microphone, and I have it set up so I can use it on my phone. But it was the strangest rally. It was the complete opposite energy from what the End the Damn Wars, or End the War, Rage Against the War Machine rally was. When we were there, our group was there, it was just fun. Positive energy the entire time. This rally was, the best word is somber. Might call it depressing. Because what it ended up being was, it ended up being majority of actual Ukrainians, whether they were refugees or they have lived here for some time, but they were Ukrainian. So we get there and we're standing around and we're just trying to get a feel for the place. And there's this circle around this small PA system, to the point where there were so many people, like the circle was so tight that hardly any sound was getting through. So we were maybe 50 yards from the speaker and we couldn't hear them at all. So we stood back and just observed for a while. The amount of Ukrainian flags made me wish that I started a flag company before all this started, or I would be rich. I'm not trying to be a dick, but there was so many Ukrainian flags. It was crazy. And at first we were like kind of taken aback by how many Ukrainian flags there were. But then once we realized that, say 90% of these people were actually Ukrainian, then it made sense. And this was a pro-Ukraine rally, not in the sense of, kind of leftist, crazy person. It was more so an actual Ukrainian, pro-Ukrainian rally. It was, some of the speakers were, people that work at the Ukrainian embassy here in the United States. Other people were like heads of lobbying groups for the country of Ukraine. And we went there with the initial intent to just talk to some people, see if there were any agreements in being anti-war as opposed to being pro-war, essentially. But once we got there and we kind of started seeing what was going on, we realized like this wasn't the place for that. And I was going to go live, and I ended up not going live just because it was just such a weird feeling thing. It didn't seem right to kind of, even though I disagreed with these people, it didn't seem right to go in there and start questioning their beliefs, right? Because it was such a heartfelt belief, I guess I could say. And, as bad as I wanted to kind of like shake these people and be like, look, this wasn't started by Russia. This came from the coup, the United States backed coup in 2014. But that, I just couldn't bring it to myself to that's what that kind of place was for, because it really wasn't. This was the kind of place that it was just kind of sad, and not like embarrassing sad. It was just sad. It was very somber. It was cloudy. It was on screen, the picture I took. Let me see, there it is. And it wasn't the place to make friends. And it wasn't the place to fuck with people either. So we got there. We stood on the outskirts for a little while, kind of walked up towards the speakers, and this wasn't the place. One of us had a sign with a peace sign. Half the peace sign was a Ukrainian flag. The other half was like the Russian flag. And more times than not, we got weird looks for it, or kind of like, how dare you have that? We saw a sign that said, "End the war," and then it said F-16s and anti-aircraft missiles now. So they want to end the war by destroying their enemy, not by having peace talks and talking it out and figuring it out. We saw a sign with it was a big picture of Putin, and it was a big picture of Putin, and he had the Hitler hair and the Hitler mustache, and said Putin equals Hitler. But it wasn't like American, blue-haired liberals that were holding these signs. It was actual Ukrainians. And it's not like we just assumed that they were Ukrainian. They were speaking Ukrainian. I have a buddy who knows Ukrainian people and is pretty familiar with the language, and he said that's Ukrainian. It's not Russians. They're speaking Ukrainian. So it wasn't the place. We did check it out. I'm glad we checked it out. This is kind of the non-American left pro-war side of the actual Ukrainians or Ukrainian Americans that see this as an attack on their sovereign land, which it is, but that the war needs to be ended with more violence and more bloodshed as opposed to peace talks. So it was just very, very strange. I'm going to throw that picture up one more time. I shared it on my Twitter, but if you can see in the background, there were some Ukrainian nationalist militia flags. They were a black and red flag, and they're basically Nazis. They're far right nationalists, which under most circumstance, we would call them Nazis. And there were 2 or 3 of them there, and nobody, was trying to get them to take them down or anything. And there were so many flags. We were looking up all the flags because Ukraine has, like America, different things have different flags, but it was all strongly, strongly pro-Ukraine. We saw those far right-wing militia flags, and there's 3 of them. Nobody was saying anything. So it was weird. It was just weird. That's all I can say, is that it was just weird. I'm glad we went, though. Sorry I didn't go live. It just didn't feel like the place to kind of flap my jaws, and it was just so somber and quiet, and kind of fit the mood and the weather. So we hung out there for like an hour. The wing got a beer, as any good libertarian would do. So I'm glad I remembered to talk about that, because I meant to days ago. So that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to my rambling, because I didn't have the notes that I usually do, but that's okay. Sometimes rambling is good. Talking off the top of the head, some good ideas. So with that, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.